Presented by Iyai and Cardozo TransSTEM Academy.
My name is Aisha. I'm a senior at Cardozo Education Campus.
My name is James. I go to Cardozo in 12th grade.
Hi, my name is Vicente. I'm in the 12th grade and I go to Cardozo Education Campus.
In this project, we will be talking about the conveniences and inconveniences of e-bikes in DC. E-bikes are a rentable electrical bike that is all around DC, where you pay a certain amount of money depending on how much time you want to use it for. It is making transportation more available for people who prefer to use vehicles instead of walking. It may be seen as very convenient, but it can be very problematic as well. The many struggles of e-bikes in DC are the accidents that have occurred often with them, which is why we'll be introducing the benefits coming from e-bikes, but also the dangerous situations that have occurred. With those dangerous situations said, we want to be discussing rules and regulations for them.
In Washington, D.C., there have been 110 pedestrian and bicyclist deaths, as well as a reported 24,000 emergency room visits for e-bike accidents, according to the CPSC. These numbers highlight the serious safety risks associated with the use of e-bikes, which can lead to injury or death. Even worse, some riders illegally hack their e-bikes for higher speeds, which makes them far more dangerous for the rider and the pedestrians. One example of a fatal e-bike incident occurred on March 27, 2024, when 43-year-old Michael Goldstone died following a Capital Bike Share e-bike collision in Northwest DC.
Across all 50 states and Washington, D.C., e-bike riders are required to follow the same traffic laws as regular cyclists. That means obeying traffic signals, riding with traffic, and using roads, bike lanes, and shared paths. In most cases, e-bike riders don't need driver license, registration, or title. There also isn't a general age limit for e-bikes, except for Class 3 e-bikes, which can go up to 28 miles per hour, and require riders to be at least 16 years old. Overall, e-bike laws are very similar to regular bike laws and not very strict. Because of this, many riders don't always follow the rules, and that's where the problem starts. This is why stricter e-bike laws, especially stronger age requirements, could help make our streets safer. The next videos show what can happen when e-bike laws aren't being followed.
Well, when I'm walking down the street, sometimes they're on the sidewalk and they almost kill me. That's never fun. But I have used them. A few years ago, I would use them and it would make it a little faster to get to work. So I see the convenience in them. Other than that, when I'm driving, the people on the e-bikes, they can be a little crazy. So it's just an added risk in the streets.
Absolutely hate them. As a driver in Washington, D.C., I tend to get cut off. I see the folks riding on sidewalks, they're riding without helmets. They cause a lot of traffic hazards. So I say I hate them, having to deal with them, but I think the idea is fantastic.
They can be dangerous. I also don't like how people just leave them everywhere. 2 times this week, I had to pick up an e-bike out of my alley. It was blocking the cars. And so people just leave them everywhere.
Sometimes I know even here, Cardozo, kids down on the track will be using them on the track, just to use it as a play toy. Sometimes they'll be left in places that, they shouldn't be left at. So a lot of times that's where people see things and be inconvenient. No system's gonna work perfect.
See the e-bikes all over the place. I've been driving the highway and I say, e-bike on the side of the road, I say, ooh, what's that doing so far over here? It should not be nowhere around. And you get individuals that use it in the wrong way. Even at the school, you can see at the school, you get other students driving up the street, back and forward, driving, no control. That make it look bad.
These are things you shouldn't do when riding e-bikes.
Stop. Look both ways.
Stop. It's prohibited to ride with 2 people at a time. Stop. Don't speed. You could hurt someone.
If there's no bike lane, you have to follow the same rules as cars. Don't use your phone while riding e-bikes. Stop. Wear a helmet before you ride.
Remember to stay safe and ride in good weather like this.
So what should the government do?
The government should create more e-bike lanes like this.
Like right there. Let's go, son.
And create more bike racks like these.
The city should also require school courses in schools for younger riders. You violated the law. Cities can also start enforcing laws.
For driving too fast, riding on sidewalks, and not following the rules.
So what should Congress do?
They should implement these laws nationally.
So there's no more accidents.
While filming our video, we met Jasmine Joyner, an assistant of Robert White. He's a council member at large. We talked about our video, and she connected us with Kevin Whitfield. He's a part of the Committee of Transportation, and we asked him our questions. And this is how it went. Question is, are there like any like curriculums or anything like in schools currently?
I'm not aware of anything on schools. What they do have is there's a like a capital bike share program that high schools can ask to participate in to make sure that you have like the capital bike share decks out there, and then the capital bike share program is expanding more and more e-bikes in the program. But I think in general, we don't have a lot of bicycle education in the district aimed at students or in our schools. And so I think we sort of expect that to be something you learn through family or friends, and we should be better about bike education.
Sorry, I didn't clarify. I was saying like regarding like e-bikes.
Oh yeah, so I think I'm not aware of any education in schools specifically on e-bikes. What we have, I think the main district program we have related to e-bikes right now is our Capital Bike Share program. So I'm sure you all have seen them or rode on them. In the last couple of years, Capital Bike Share has added more and more e-bikes to its fleet, which I think has corresponded with like increased levels of ridership, because lots of people like riding the e-bikes as opposed to those heavy analog bikes where you're having to pedal uphill really hard and things like that. So we have that program. It's been around for a long time now. And then a couple of years ago, the district government created a program to give e-bike rebates to people, so to help them afford a bike. So you can go to a bike shop, you get your rebate from BDOT, and it helps lower the cost of the bike by somewhere between $500 and $1,500 to make them more affordable. So those are kind of like the extent of the programs. And I'm just about to go to an event tomorrow that the government is holding, where they're helping delivery workers get access to e-bikes. So I think we've done it more kind of like the adult commuter space. We haven't focused as much on young people and students.
Question. Are there any new regulations being put in place for e-bikes?
We are just about to pass a law on e-bike battery safety standards. So I don't know if you've heard about this, but like in New York City, where there's a lot of e-bikes, they've had a lot of fires. Low quality e-bike batteries experience this thing called thermal runaway, where basically they get hotter and hotter and hotter until the battery explodes or causes a fire. These lithium ion batteries can put off lots of dangerous fumes. And so it's a real problem. It's mostly a problem with sort of uncertified products. So this is like a cheap manufacturer, maybe overseas, who sells them here. But we have safety standards that we can require that bikes meet. And so we're about to pass a law that requires that e-bikes and their batteries meet certain safety standards. These are the safety standards. If you look at the back of your
Past, I guess you could say, to like improve on e-bike safety.
Yeah, a couple of things that you'll hear people talk about a lot are the speeds at which they can travel, so whether or not you should cap the speed. So right now, in general, e-bikes are limited to 20 miles per hour traveling. They can go faster than that, and it's a question of whether or not you allow them. You know, if you think about it, a lot of the times the appropriate speed really depends on where the e-bike would be traveling. So if the e-bike is going to be traveling on a road with other cars, you want it to be traveling kind of as fast as the other cars can, or it'll cause problems. So that would, in DC, that would suggest.
We also asked Kevin what he thought about our video, and this was his response.
So I was wondering, like, based off the video, do you see like anything like you guys want to implement for e-bikes, or like any insight that you have?
Yeah, so I think one of the things you pointed out well in the video is like you can reduce a lot of these friction points if there's clear areas where each person uses. So we have streets for cars. If we can build bike lanes for bikes and then reserve sidewalks for pedestrians, you can get rid of some of those interactions that make people feel safe. The senior who's worried about a bike zipping past them as they're walking down the senior, or the person who's worried about stepping out of their car as they try to get on the curb and there's a bike lane there or something like that. So a lot of it is like creating the areas where people can use whatever vehicle they want to. And so, reduce the context. Because I think a lot of like when you were talking to your teachers, a lot of them were like, when I'm driving, this is the behavior I see and how it affects me as a driver. And if they were like, well, it doesn't matter because I'm driving in the street and they're in a bike lane and they can do whatever they want there, that helps solve one of the problems. We do currently limit speeds. You mentioned the hacking thing at 28 miles per hour. Currently, a lot of the bikes that you have access to are limited at 20 miles per hour. We talked a little about the speed restrictions there. What were some of the other proposals? Did you mention, was it a registration requirement? Was that one of the ones you mentioned? Or I think better education and training at schools, which I think is a great idea. I don't think you'll have any opposition to that idea. I think it's just going to be one of like priority, like, if we're paying for different education programs at schools, do you want to do it for e-bikes? Or do you want to do it for some other cool thing? How to use tools, how to, that stuff. And so I think it's always a competition as to what we're interested in. But what's always great for us is to hear from students themselves. Like if you or other students are like, what we want is bike education, then it becomes a lot easier for us to say, well, let's invest in bike education because this is what the students are telling us. So I think a lot of it is using your voice and elevating it and appreciating the fact that people actually will listen to you even as students now in terms of informing policy, especially education and stuff.
That's it. Kevin, is there any kind of like a youth council or whatever in the District of Columbia where
Dr. Beverly Scott also recommended that we reach out to the student council, and we are looking forward to connecting with them soon.
On transportation and environment, we actually just created a youth council that's specifically focused on the environment and climate issues as well. So that will be stood up soon, but there already is a general council, but I think it covers kind of all issues, not just transportation or environment.
Okay. Now, see, that's another, because this would be the thing that you could wind up doing is to also reach out and, talk with the young people that are at the youth council. Okay. And I'm saying, and see how that works. And because that's probably like a broad brush kind of a thing. Okay. And be able to actually talk with them about, because I do, just given the research that you've done nationally, okay, and I'm saying, I do think that this whole thing in terms of education and what people can do themselves, okay, to wind up, being able to mediate things would be, I think it's almost like a slam dunk. And even I don't know, I've been so removed.
In addition, our team submitted a testimony for the transportation hearing.
Throughout this project, we learned
how to work effectively,
how to work as a team,
to edit and to communicate.
We want to thank the Iyai program, Cardozo TransSTEM Academy, all of our teachers, Kevin Whitfield, and the members of the DC Council. And a huge thank you to the Garrett program for being an inspiration to even make this video.